My name is Sunu from The Drum, and here with me I have Jose from Cannes Lion. Thank you for being here and welcome, Jose. The first question I have for you is, are you excited or are you nervous about Cannes Lion 2018?
Are you kidding? I'm a natural excited person, so I'm all around energy, passion, and I think it's part of my culture, part of my being. And as I said to many, it was a privilege to be part of such a massive transition. So many asked me when I joined, actually not when I joined, but right after, when we began seeing kind of the massive transformations that the industry was going, how was I coping to be kind of in the midst of such profound change and myself being in the eye of the hurricane. But I felt really privileged because it is when you can really distill the energy, the spirit, the passion, the transformation, the change. You can reset ideas. There are no kind of boundaries set. We can put everything on the table, have blank sheets and a blank canvas to kind of redraw many ideas and things, circumstances that eventually we were not able to drive and push, and finally we were given a chance to actually give that tree to shake, and so I felt privileged. So I am very, very excited.
So how different do you think Cannes Lion 2018 will be this year? Following on from the hullabaloo of Publicis last year, what can we expect in terms of change?
We should expect much of it being a streamlined and focused event. So us really kind of deep diving into what makes Cannes Lion so unique, but in a more purposeful way, in a more engaging way. But one thing will never change, and which is the essence of us driving creativity forward, as you rightly began. Cannes Lions is all around driving creativity, not just in advertising, it's across communications, across society, any movement that ultimately is inspired by creativity and driven by creativity. So I think that the essence of what we stand for, the purpose, will be very clear, very evident. If there was any questions on it, which I kind of, I did not, I was not in agreement to the questions of us not standing for creativity, because this was one of the issues that were raised, etc. I think this is fundamentally wrong, because there has never been such the platform has never been so important to support what creativity should drive. To support why creativity is so relevant, driving performance, driving society, driving good, driving change, driving businesses forward, driving individuals forward, because the human element has never been so needed in today's world. So I think that the whole idea of the convergence of data, tech, insight, and AI, it only kind of showcased how fundamental creativity is, the human element is. And this is what I think Cannes Lions transpires. It's all about creativity.
So you talked about creativity and AI and technology almost in the same breath. So could I ask that, are you expecting more entries from consultancies, for instance? And do you think that would mitigate the effect of the shrinkage, perhaps, that you're expecting from network agencies in terms of entries?
We are expecting engagement of whole new systems within the industry. So it's not just consultancies, it's brands, it's how clients perceive the creative journey. So it's not just consultancies. Actually, what we stand for is, again, to drive creativity forward. So it shouldn't be just a discussion on who will substitute, because I think that clients are absolutely intertwined with respective agencies. It has never been so important, this client-agency relationship. They shouldn't be treated as suppliers. They should be really treated as partners. So I think it's going to be much symbiotic, the way that you approach how you engage with the award system. I think that it has never been so important for you to see journeys recognized and and rewarded and awarded by this constellation of absolutely mind-blowing peers that ultimately understand the true nature of creative work that drives performance. So I think it's not going to be consultancy substituting agencies. It's going to be how this new framework of relationships, they intersect more effectively, and how by making these intersections more purposeful, how you drive the whole system forward. It won't be one substituting the other. It's going to be them working much more together.
But in terms of the impact on your revenues, your bottom line, do you think you've seen the impact already?
Look, the journey this year, everyone knows the moment that we don't have publicists engaging at the level historically they did engage, it was a natural expectation for us to see the volume declines because they won't be there. But I think that primarily we were not, it was not about the bottom line, it was about when we reset the new awards structure, we created the proposition that showcased quality. So we were not looking into, the mindset was for us to really listen to what the industry, for the cry-outs of the industry, and for us to create categories, understand perspective of the industry, the new value chains, what are the needs, why it is fundamental to recognize great work on reach, impact, communications, innovations. That's why we created the track system. We were much more focused. Our mentality was not driven by volumes. It was driven by what we need to serve the industry with. So how can we reset the system and begin, because this is what we do actually every year. Cannes Lions is in a constant mutation. Mm-hmm. We're always kind of listening to the industry and reflecting what the industry needs. So many times we inserted new categories, we retired others, but always in tandem with what the need of the industry is. So this year, more than ever, it was our primary objective for us to recategorize, repurpose, redefine, always with the mentality of we are building a quality proposition, so we're focused on quality.
Was that also the reason behind an initiative like the CFO Kit that you provided earlier this year, which was all about taking it back to your CFO C-suite, trying to explain to them the relevance of going to Cannes, but also how much through gritted teeth did you really launch an initiative like that? Look,
I regret that we didn't do it way before, 20 years ago, because we should be doing every year. Cannes Lions is an investment. So, and many times when you question the investment's purpose, it is frustrating for us because we know the value that we drive. We know what we deliver. So I think we were aiding those that actually do understand, recognize that it's a transformational journey for you to be there in that week. It transforms lives, literally, I'm not exaggerating, and with no bias. It transforms careers, it transforms expectations, viewpoints of the world. So it is an investment, but we recognize that it is an investment, that it's not something that inexpensive. So why wouldn't we aid those that want to be there, mainly the younger crowds, the new generations that need to have all the arguments to convince the CFO. So yes, we should have done this like 20 years ago, and we will do every year.
And how does the CMO Council initiative, how does that sit in, and how's that working for you, really?
I think that it is very powerful for us to see that the whole ecosystem is embracing the power of that platform, the power of Cannes Lions. And obviously, I think the moment that we began driving brand engagement 18 years ago, this was the moment that we really began changing the platform. So when many think that Cannes Lions began changing the past year, it is fundamentally wrong, because we began changing in 2001. We began changing when we first had the first big brands participating with Cannes Lions. So this was when we saw the brand engagement surging. And I think that the CMO Council is almost kind of the the pinnacle of this evolution of brand engagement. So we feel that it's a recognition of how fundamental and instrumental the debates, the viewpoints, the learnings you get from that week, they're crucial for the development of the whole ecosystem. So I think it's the materialization of something that we've been working for the last 20 years, and we're very proud of it.
For someone who has been going to Cannes for 13 years, this will be my 13th this year, and someone who's actually stood up against this Cannes bashing, looking at how it has been about the craft and creativity and how global it has become over the years as well. I just wonder, to your mind, what are the biggest challenges for Cannes Lion, but also, do you think you need to strip back as to what you stand for and say that you are really an exhibition?
I think there is, rightly or wrongly, which makes us really proud actually, being this mirror of the industry. But you rightly said, we are mere governors of this brand. And the fact that many people they're so opinionated on Cannes makes us very proud, for negative or positive sentiments, you see. But whenever you have such debates happening, it showcases how relevant it is. Last year, two things that I would like to mention. So last year it was frustrating for us because it is never our expectation to be Cannes Lions the point of debate. We have so many profound themes that are debated there that are changing and transforming the world, and it was a frustration for us to have witnessed so many of these themes being debated there, and ultimately us becoming the point of debate, the story, which is far from what we expect. Hopefully, when you ask what we expect this year, is for us not to be the point of debate. You see, we are there to ultimately serve as a platform for the benefit and for the development of the industry. So we're not there to discuss Cannes Lions. First point. Second point to your, when you mentioned that you were an advocate on the Cannes bashing, etc. Our crowd, so the people that are within our organization, we have a lot of the younger crowds, the younger generation, even myself, which I had to go through the archives of many media publishers to tell them and showcase that this has been happening for decades. I was able to get headlines that had if I replicated those headlines to today, it would be the same. So from 77, 79, 94, 2001, look, we had so many that I created actually one of our one of my presentations I did to the whole organization. I did collate many of these headlines, and I've showed them. I said, look, this is not news for us. It's news for you, but not news for us. So it's part of the journey of being something relevant.
Talking about relevance, what do you think will be the main talking point at Cannes this year? A lot of people I'm talking to say it will be a lot about watching who is and who isn't present this time around.
We cannot control that, for sure. What makes the magic of Cannes is that we cannot anticipate the themes. So if we could, it would be way easier, but we cannot anticipate the themes. But we know that the industry, it's no longer about one challenge in one specific sector, one challenge here. I think that we are seeing a profound transformation. The digital, I hate the word disruption, but it's true. It disrupted everything, every sector, every industry. Everything is being reinvented. The whole way that we relate to each other, the whole way that we communicate, the whole way that brands are perceived, the whole way, the trust element. So there's so many variables around what digital disruption represented, that definitely I think that there will be much debate on what to expect from the future, but I think that one thing will be critical this year: the human element. I think that There will be a lot of recognition on the power of technology for the development of societies, but there will be one point for sure, which I think will be stressed as never before, which is the human element, because human creativity and human ingenuity has never been so important, and I think this will be very powerful this year.
When you talk about human element, what exactly do you mean?
I think the human element has never been so important on sharing knowledge, on sharing vision, on the work, everywhere, because I think we cannot permit ourselves to get stranded by the evolution of technology. I actually took a very cool picture downstairs, that statement on the reception of it is true a privilege that we live in today's world, but what it means for us, the digital evolution, how we ultimately are numb to it, and we shouldn't be, because what makes it so fascinating is that we have the tool sets that, combined with our own ingenuity, makes, going back to the statement I read, makes one of the best moments in history for us to be living. So
one of the criticisms of Cannes has always been that the work that is entered or indeed wins awards is something that is only seen by the jury or people in south of France at that time, and hasn't had quite an impact across the world, or hasn't captured the global zeitgeist, quite unlike some of the big global juries talking about creativity. You know, you talk about the Oscars, the Grammys, the BAFTAs. Do you think that's a fair criticism?
I think no longer. I think it could be in the past. I think that given actually, it goes back to the benefits of technology. Today, everything is open, shareable. Everything, you can see the work and you can see creativity spreading in such a massive speed that to define audience reach, targeted audience, it's so difficult, because everything is spreadable, everything viralizes. So I think that acknowledging great work is today much easier. So and define an audience. I think that whereas in the past we pay a price obviously for the 65 now year legacy of Cannes Lions, and historically we had some very clear metrics for you to determine the audience reaches, and but today, no, today you have so many different ways to interact with great creativity and great work on a powerful message from a brand, on a powerful message from any message. So I disagree. I disagree, first in principle, and second because we have prioritized much the process. So the background that we have a proprietary technology behind how the system of recognizing great work and how we judge work works during the week. So we have many more controls on recognizing work that was created for awards only. So we haven't seen these past years. We have not seen these so-called cases of work that have been fake work, etc., because exactly we did create a much more stringent process using our own, because we know that the sanctity of the lion is everything. So we would never accept or expect such criticism to endure, because the sanctity of the lion defines everything.
That's an interesting choice of word, the sanctity of lion that you used there. Earlier you'd mentioned about how Cannes Lion really mirrors the industry as a whole. And I'm just curious to learn that one of the things that the industry is grappling with is the whole issue of diversity and inclusion. So for you as a platform, do you think you have some of the responsibility to take on to trigger that debate or do something about diversity and inclusion?
I think that us saying or emphasizing that it is our responsibility is too much of a responsibility. because we cannot change nor define or resolve many of the biggest world idiosyncrasies. So, but I think that whatever is within our reach, we acknowledge the platform that we represent. So, for example, the jury diversity. This year, it has only been progressing, and from 25% female representation 4 or 5 years ago. Last year we were at 43.5%. This year's 46%. And we're doing it in a way that is purposeful. We didn't build it just for the sake of having women representation there. We built it because we were driven to find great talent across the globe that would be worthy of representing a Cannes Lions journey. So yes, wherever we can, even the composition of our content sessions, the representation, the themes that we expect to be debated there, they all have this idea of us, yes, setting the tone where we can to help drive the great debates that we have in society today.
So, setting the tone, do you then have a view on celebrities, or how big or how many, or the parties and the yachts as well? Do you have a view on that?
Yes. So I think that another one of the biggest topics of discussion on Cannes Lions, you will see this year, everything has to be with a purpose. Everything has to be around what we stand for. So we were the criteria was very stringent on whom would sit there, who would be in that stage that for us is sacred, with a powerful message on why creativity is so relevant. And this is regardless if it's top executive or a celebrity or a top creative, or it is someone that has a principled and very powerful message on creativity. This is something that we were very careful. We were not with, not that we did it in the past, but there was a misconceived view that we had celebrities for the sake of having celebrities. There were a few that eventually we got wrong and the message didn't come the way that we expected, but we never lost the essence of purpose that the message we expect them to drive should be. So, but you will see this year, hopefully you've seen the list of speakers we have. It's absolutely driven on why creativity is a main driver of change in the world, and it doesn't matter where it comes from.
Where are you expecting some great, exceptional work to come from this year, outside of the UK and indeed the US? Which regions are you excited about?
Look, we always are surprised, always. So these last years we have been seeing an increase of pride. So we've seen increased recognition from countries like Peru. You go from Peru to Lebanon to China to, so yes, the response is yes. I think that in today's, another benefit of technology is that creativity has no boundaries. The world has no boundaries. So the more recognition we can see and we can get from farther regions of the world, the better. Yeah. And yes, I expect to see a very diverse group of countries hopefully recognized. Yeah. India is a massive creative, great work from India. So yeah, so
tell me, Jose, what do you think are the biggest challenges for Cannes Lions? What is it that keeps you awake at night?
Only one thing. What keeps me awake at night truly is the health of my kids always. So as long as they are okay, this is what, because the rest is always solvable. But in terms of our business progression, I think that, as I said, I feel privileged, but obviously we are going through a massive transformation. And we need to be conscious of what needs to be done in terms of change, in terms of, we began a journey of a couple of years ago really pushing the idea of Cannes Lions being a relevant platform that touches the industry across 365 days a year. You will see a series of initiatives that will communicate as we progress during the year, that will go deep into this notion of us becoming this community that embraces the ecosystem of branded communications throughout the year. We believe that the Week in Cannes is the pinnacle of the experience of being part of the Cannes Lions community. So I think that the biggest challenge we have now is to showcase that we are a platform. We are not just the Week in Cannes is the materialization of an engagement that hopefully will be being fostered and will be being developed throughout the whole year. But we're going through a massive transformation. So it's obvious when we look into what's happening with our most important legacy clients, the changes that we see there, the changes that this whole idea of yourself evolving from a world of where I think there was they were used to a retainer mindset, and now you work by project, and you have creative houses being built within brands, and you have the new media platforms intersecting with technology, and what is a media platform today. And so this is fascinating, but at the same time challenging. But we expect still to be the center stage for the debate and the cross-sect of the entire, all of these points in the industry. One interesting thing that usually people ask me, so are you going to become, another criticism, are you becoming too much of a tech event? Are you becoming a digital event?
You didn't let me ask that. I was going to ask you that.
So okay, I'm anticipating, but you know that my response is define tech and define digital. I don't want to be surprising with the answer, but of course we're becoming, because digital and tech is part of our world today. How can you not be recognizing technology deeply? Because one of the biggest creative movements that are happening there are absolutely embedded in new technologies, and so if we do not, digital it's not even a word, it's part of our lives, it's part of your life, my life. So define digital. Yes, we have to be, because it's part of who we are today as human beings. So
the narrative that you just talked about over there, do you think it is being driven a lot by the network agencies who are all behaving like the spoiled child being asked to eat their green eggs and ham?
No, I think to be fair, everyone is aware that we all need to embrace the notion of technology and how it transformed businesses. So I think I think that what they are fighting for, rightly, is for us to never lose the essence of creative drive and creative spirit. Mm-hmm. So I think that given audiences have been fragmented, platforms have been fragmented, it is harder for yourself to build powerful, society-changing messages that really are transformative. So because we live in a fragmented world. So I think that what they vouch for is that you cannot lose this essence of creativity being this powerful tool and lever always to develop great things. So, but they have to, everyone is adjusting.
So let's look into your crystal ball. What do you think 5 years from now Cannes Lions would look like? And also, do you think along the way you made a few mistakes now that you are learning from?
Look, I think it's part of being human to make bad choices, as long as you make choices, no? So I learned from our CEO, from Essential. He says, I usually strive to make, from every 10 decisions I make, 6 I get right, really right. We all are making decisions, and we're all striving to make them right, but not necessarily we're going to be always accurate. So I think that what I would like to see is us having this profound recognition that we never lost our essence, we never lost our purpose, that we are there to stand strongly for the development of creativity, creativity being a driving force for business change, for good. I never responded to your question on parties, etc. When I say creativity driving business for change and for good, the element of fun in Cannes Lions is part of it. It's part of, because what happens during the week is the connections, the engagement, the spirit. So you have some really amazing minds there that are open for interaction, are open for exchange. So new businesses, new relationships that are established there, new ideas, and so I would hopefully see people continuing to criticize because they care, but not just for the sake of criticism. You see, because they care, because we are on the same page, we are on the same side. So our biggest partners historically, the holdcos, etc., we are on the same side, we are supporting the same thing. We are there and we are an organization, yes, that is growing, that is part of a PLC, but we are kind of driven by the spirit of our stakeholders, our shareholders. We are growing, we need to treat it as a growth platform, but we will never lose the essence, because the moment we lose the essence, we cannot drive value also, even for our own organization. So I think that when I look 5 years from now, it is us really being recognized for what we stand for true creativity, driving business for change, for transformation, for good, and for the development of society. And we don't know what society we're talking about, because things are changing so dramatically, and the relationship set and the value chain and how media interrelates with brands, and how creative messages are built, how agencies will work on the data side, how consultancies will embrace creativity. So it's super complex, but as long as we keep on having Cannes Lions as the most relevant platform for such debate to occur, I am happy.
Thank you, Jose, for your time today and for being with the drum. Armed with strong livers and Factor 50, Cannes, here we come, and hope to see you there in the next few weeks. Thanks, Jose.